Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is looking at the partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. It is a supermoon though, and this is happening either on the 17th or 18th of September 2024. I live in the Midwest in the United States, and for me this is occurring at 9:44 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you live in the United States, it will be on the 17th. Elsewhere, probably the 18th. Well, yeah, it will be. So, and there's something I wanted to say right out of the box. Well, this being in Pisces and the fact that it is a very powerful full moon, we're looking at the opposition with the opposite sign. In this case, it is Virgo. This is going to be 25 degrees, this opposition. So what you want to do is you want to pay attention to what these two signs represent. In other words, not just Pisces, but also the opposition it's making to the sun in Virgo, as well as where it falls in your chart. And you can synthesize this information to make it work for you. So let me use myself as an example because I'm me. I would know. Okay, so for instance, this lunar eclipse is falling in my 11th house of hopes and wishes, gains, which can, material, profits from your business or the money you're earning in your career. That's where the lunar eclipse is occurring. And then the sun is in the 5th house, which is the house of love and creativity and pleasure. So it does bring up the issue of long-range goals. And it may very well have some connection to creativity, even though it's forming an opposition. It's like reminding us, are we honoring? To me, the sun is our sense of ourselves in this lifetime and what we came here to shine our light with. So in the 5th house, this can be about creative pursuits. And certainly for me, this is very apropos because of my own long-range goals. So will there be something that comes to fruition, which the lunar eclipse or the full moon, we could say, could bring? Sometimes they talk about things being eclipsed out of your life, and that certainly can be the case as well. And this is something that it's not necessarily that you are doing on your own. It's like a fork in the road or a twist of fate, but I don't want to make it sound random. The eclipses to me are these karmic points of destiny that at a higher level we may have chosen ourselves, but they are meant to nudge us to other things. The North Node is also in that 11th house because it is connected to eclipses. I mean, the transing nodes, in other words. And that is the direction to go in. So you can kind of see, what is it that I am trying to accomplish here? And with the long range goals, it's like kind of, when you look at the 5th house, pleasure versus long range goals. You don't need that quick fix, in other words. So find out where it is in your chart and you will see what it means for you. But let's just talk about Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So regardless, we're talking about something that has to do with endings and real endings. This is kind of like a punctuation mark, an exclamation mark in terms of endings, because full moons, lunar eclipses are endings as it is, or at least it's the zenith point of something. So this is kind of like closing the chapter on a cycle. And it's very interesting to me that the transing north node is in Aries. We are going to have one more solar eclipse in Aries, so that, and also a solar eclipse in Libra. So those pair of eclipses are not finished yet. Very interesting. We have two pairs of eclipses active at the same time. And so with the North Node in the first sign of the zodiac and the lunar eclipse in the last sign, I really feel that this midpoint in September is a chapter closing and a new one opening up at the same time. And I mean, it has been open. We have had solar eclipses in Aries already, two to be exact. And it's what's interesting is that there have been no lunar eclipses in Aries. So it's just like full steam ahead with new beginnings and initiations. So the 12th house that Pisces rules and that can let us understand what is really going on here with a Pisces lunar eclipse is all about martyrdom or perceived martyrdom, victimhood. It is past lives, karmic baggage, if you will. It is on the positive end about spirituality, spiritual states of being, the collective soul. So the 11th house is about the collective in the mundane human sense of the word, and the 12th house is the collective soul. This is a house of escapism, and I'm saying house, I could say Pisces. Pisces is a sign of fantasy, escapism, also transcendence. The fact that we're talking about the connection to the 12th house in astrology means that we are able to let go of self-defeating patterns that are connected to Pisces and the 12th house. All of the illusions can be brought to light because a lunar eclipse can bring something to the surface. And transiting Neptune in Pisces, by the way, which will be engaged in this eclipse, this can be so enlightening. But I do feel that for some people, this can also be very sobering. Ironically, because Pisces can be about addiction, but also illusion. So the sense of disillusionment can really be heightened at this time. So be gentle with yourself. If something comes up in a particular area of your life where you have been lying to yourself, don't get freaked out because this too shall pass. This is part of the cleansing process. All full moons, and this is like a heightened full moon, not only because it's a super moon, but it's a lunar eclipse, are purging times. And don't forget, Pluto is now back in Capricorn, so there is an inner purging. Well, that's neither here nor there. The fact is, Pluto is retrograding, so that is that internal purging as well. So it's a very intense time. Pisces is a water sign, so certainly that is coming into it's heightening the emotions from that angle as well. And then you bring that opposition with Virgo, which is rules the sixth house in astrology is all about the day-to-day life, the workaday life, your schedule, your daily schedule, the work itself that you're doing. Health matters. And this is one of the things that I think can be a disillusionment, and it might be in the news because this is like a mundane astrology report talking about the collective versus a personal chart reading. So health news matters may come out, but I think they could even be a lot of people realizing something themselves about their health. I've already seen it, and the eclipse influence can occur weeks before the actual date. So kind of like realizing certain things about their own health. I've been even seeing online people getting these diagnoses about their health that are serious diagnoses. I was just, sending good vibes to somebody who found out that they have, I think it was like stage 4 cancer or some, geez. So this is coming out maybe in large numbers, and people are very emotional about it. And also maybe news coming out about that is related to their health situations. And it can be very disillusioning, but it's all part of, it's all for the highest good. Because one of the things, when we talk about the Piscean age, I was saying, I don't know to who, but that I believe a lot, some astrologers said that the Aquarian age began when Jupiter and Saturn linked up. I believe it was December of 2021, was it? I can't remember. But I believe it has been Pluto in Aquarius when this happened. And to me, it was no coincidence that the same month, March of 2023, when Pluto went into Aquarius, we had Saturn going into Pisces. And again, Saturn is the lord of karma, and Pisces is the sign of karma, the last sign and house of the zodiac. So yes, I do think that it was no coincidence that both of those planets went into those signs. And the Piscean age, to me, has been about the victim, about being a prisoner of your own life. And Aquarius, to me, is sovereignty. It's freedom, but it's detached freedom. It's not like trying to prove yourself that you really are deserving of freedom, like a teeny bopper who wants to be able to drive their family's car, and their parent wants to go with them. When we're arguing for our sovereignty instead of just standing within it, that means that we're trying to make a case like we still need somebody's approval. So there's the Aquarian energy is very rebellious, because Uranus is that planet that is an awakener, but part of the awakening is the unpredictability factor, because even within an individual, or in this case, the collective, we never know when the desire for something will hit us, and we will be like, I'm going for it. I don't care what anybody says. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, because I do feel that we have this great opportunity to clear a lot of karmic influences, maybe the soul contracts. I read somewhere that those are being dissolved, and I do believe that that does connect with this concept of sovereignty, because Contract implies that somebody has entered into something willingly. And I do believe that that's true. I do believe that we are deciding this for ourselves, but we're deciding it under certain circumstances and levels of awareness. And once we have achieved that, and I feel like right now we have the potential to grow in leaps and bounds spiritually, because of this ascension process, that it's not something that is so incremental that is going to just drag along. I mean, we can make great strides in a very short period of time. And that in and of itself indicates that we don't have to play out those old patterns anymore. And I remember reading one time that when, this issue of karma, there are still Eastern religions that promote this thing that, oh yeah, you'll burn some karma if you do this or you do that, but they're still on that wheel. They haven't left the wheel of birth and death, which is the karmic bondage. And once you understand your true nature, which also means understanding the true meaning of life and everything like that, I do believe that your karma is dissolved. Karma just means action. So it means that there are no ties to the past, to the past lives that you feel like you have to atone for or anything like that, because you understand exactly what you did. It's like if you're in prison for a crime that you committed, you might never really understand why what you did was so injurious to others. You may know that you're being punished for it and that it's illegal, but you may not really fully know. But what about if you're like, damn, yeah, I know now what I did. And wow, that was just horrible. Even if it was something like murder, that would free you from, any future actions like that, because you know how bad it is to do something like that, how the ripple effect it has on so many lives. And so it's not even something in your reality anymore. So it's not about, the sentence that you're serving. It's all about consciousness and conscious awareness of what it is that you're trying to do. And so I just feel like there's this amazing opportunity, but I think on the more mundane level, it's going to show up as things ending for some people or blossoming, meaning that they are finally coming to fruition for you. Sometimes maybe you've been doing this for a long time. If you have it like me in the 11th house, it could very well be that, something that you've been working on for a long time, or at least wanting. It might just be something you wished for, hoped for, coming to fruition. And also look after that date of the 17th or 18th, because it might manifest then. Don't just be stuck on that date. So let's look at some of the other things that are happening at this time. There are squares, there are hard angles to Jupiter, which is, you could have a lot worse than hard angles to Jupiter for sure. Sun, Moon, and Mercury, which simply means that there is excess in indulgence. Luckily, this is on a Tuesday, on the 17th, or Wednesday elsewhere, which is not a typical kind of party day. So if it was on the weekend, it might be a little bit more hairy. But with the Mercury square, certainly it can be that there is excessive communication, but how much of it is true? How much is exaggerated? And speaking of squares, Mars is making a hard angle to Neptune. That's the one I wanted to mention, because that can be deceptive. Neptune can be deceptive, especially since this is a hard angle. And so Mars is the call to action. So if you're acting on false information with that Jupiter square, you could be jumping into something that is an illusion, thinking that you're doing the right thing, or that, because Neptune is very idealistic, but it might not be all that it's cracked up to be. So be aware, of course, at any full moon, or in life in general, let's face it, but during the full moon period, people can have their emotions heightened, and even like going on a spending spree or something like that, where you're just, even if it's like retail therapy, because you feel a little bit down in the dumps, you feel disillusioned, you feel particularly sensitive, be aware of the heightened effect and act accordingly. Now, yeah, and then with Neptune, there is an opposition between the Sun and Neptune, and a conjunction between the Moon and Neptune. Now, that's interesting. Conjunctions are a type of aspect that you cannot say definitively are good, bad, or indifferent. And I never say good or bad for sure. And I don't believe in, any of these things are indifferent, but neutral. In this case, because Neptune is involved here, it might be more challenging even when it's just a conjunction, because it's like immersing you in that Piscean energy with your emotions. So it really heightens it. The moon is already in Pisces. And so it's a super moon. So that is magnifying things. And then we have this conjunction with Neptune. So be very aware that your emotions may trick you in some way. Neptune is very idealistic, as I already stated, and Pisces are very compassionate, is very intuitive. Oh, wow, this is going to be off the charts for intuition, but there can be sometimes even deception within that, because sometimes it's all about interpretation. A psychic is only as good as their ability to interpret things at the highest level possible. If a person's consciousness is colored in a certain way, they're going to be slanted, and they're not doing it intentionally, but they just have that certain way of looking at the world. And so it can create distortions, in other words. So even the emotions can be distorted, but I think that this is beautiful for meditation and those types of pursuits, and definitely with creative pursuits. The Sun opposing Neptune, if we talk about it in the most broad sense, the Sun can be the self, and again with the disillusionment, Neptune can, especially since we're looking at Neptune retrograde, that Neptune can be showing us where we are lying to ourselves about who we are in this lifetime, obviously not the ultimate, who we are, and how we're living our life in a way that is not in alignment with authenticity and all of that stuff. Because actually, again, with the Sun Moon opposition during the lunar eclipse, the Sun being in Virgo, for some people, this could be that you are not doing enough of the day-to-day stuff that you need to do. Maybe you're kind of it's not spiritually bypassing, you're physically bypassing. You're not, you're doing ayahuasca, but you don't have any kind of practical activities. You're kind of living your head in the clouds. Maybe you're, and somebody came down on me because they said that I was advocating for ayahuasca and things like that. No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I said, be very careful about that and do your research. I also said I probably wouldn't. I never would do something like that. Um, to me, that's really scary. So I don't mean to be flippant about it, but I mean anything 12th house. Maybe you're meditating hours a day, but you're not taking out the garbage. You're not doing the practical. There's that saying, chop wood, carry water. And I guess it means that, we have to also live in this world. We can't just live in the clouds. I think that's what it means. It's a Zen thing. But Venus is in Libra at this time, and Mars is in Cancer. So this is very romantic. And I think that for some people, Pisces is definitely romantic. But we can romanticize our lives. We can have these relationships. It is because it is a full moon, a lunar eclipse. Relationships can come to crisis point if they have people in them are not paying attention to the signs already. Then something irrefutable can just kind of force you to be aware of it. And with Mars and Cancer, there is, and even with Venus and Libra, these are two interesting takes on love. Libra is an air sign, and to me, Libra is in love with love, and there's an abstract, intellectualization of love, which makes the person sometimes disconnected from love at the the core level. There may be this pursuit of that, but it may not be grounded in the reality of the day-to-day. So that's where that over idealism comes in as well, or the disillusionment. And with Cancer being a water sign and being a cardinal water sign, there's almost like this demanding quality, like love me or let me love you. And so relationship issues may stem around or be based around these themes of, does that person really love me? I don't think that they really love me. And there could be the temptation to kind of like put it all on the table and say, I want to know if you really love me. Well, you know what I think? I think that if you have to ask that question, you probably already have your answer. If you have to kind of strong arm someone into telling you that they love you or proving it to you in some way, then you probably already have that answer. But you also have to look within yourself to see if perhaps you don't love yourself enough to ever truly get filled by somebody else's love. We really can't, because love isn't a physical property. It's like it's an energy. And some people don't realize how much they reject the love and good vibes that other people are providing. They always feel like they have an empty tank, and yet they have an inability to give and receive love. So it is a very chronic problem. But these themes could come to the surface. So it should be very interesting, to say the least. And let's see if there's anything else. Venus square Pluto. This can be a classic impasse between a power struggle between love, sex, and money. And this could, play out in power, I should say. This could play out in the collective with our banking systems and everything like that. However, I like the fact that Venus is trining Jupiter, because that might be good. But in personal relationships, this could be one of those things where people realize that they are embroiled in a situation where it's a transactional relationship. So, and basically what I mean by that is that each person is giving to get. The person who has the money, trying to get a steady sex partner, somebody who will pretend to love them. I know that sounds horrible and cynical, but I don't know how else to put it. This is a kind of a heavy aspect, People have this in their natal charts, and it's like you can see that these issues come up for them and that they tend to get embroiled in them in some way. There's different permutations. But the other thing I was going to mention too is that we have an opposition between Mercury and Saturn. So Saturn can even be the corporate media, the mainstream media that is trying to always, that could be like trying to tell us like what the truth is about our life. But people might be saying, no, you're gaslighting me. I don't believe you anymore. And that, again, Pluto going back into Capricorn, it all makes a lot of sense. So, but it's on an internal level because you have to decide that you're not going to buy into it. You can't wait for some whistleblower, somebody on the outside to tell you, oh yeah, this was not factual, or this person was misleading us. We have to have that inner GPS system that really is finely tuned, that can say, this is bullshit, or I believe this is real, and I'm going to go with this. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you're eagerly anticipating this time. It certainly will heighten the energy levels mid-month, and then we have the equinox on the 22nd. The sun is going into Libra, and then we're going to have a Libra eclipse, because this is eclipse season, on October 2nd, solar eclipse. So definitely you may feel just physically that you are kind of revved up. Maybe there's a little bit of butterflies in the stomach, which can indicate anxiety or anticipation. But, by doing pranayama or breath work, which is breath work, or other types of healing modalities that are maintenance related, we can weather any storms that come about because of that. Okay, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.